In this video, we'll be comparing DAT to 123 load board, more specifically DAT1 Select to 123 load board Premium Plus, and there are many reasons why. Let's go over the plan, and then I will be showing you the DAT and 123 load board, and I have the bonus product that I want to share with you, which is amazing, specifically for independent freight dispatcher. That means there is a TMS for specifically independent freight dispatching agencies. Let's focus on the plan and let's talk about the key comparison points. Number one, markets they serve. We'll be talking about who primary users for the platform, then what types of freight each platform has, and then the load volume, price and value, which is second comparison point, pricing tiers for each platform. Then we'll be talking about which features are paywalled versus available in the basic plan, what we are missing, we could have access if you pay a little more, and then we'll be talking about those points. How users justify the cost, data power means DAT, and versus affordability, which is 123 load board. Third comparison point, dispatcher friendliness. And I have a news, and actually amazing news, more specifically for independent freight dispatcher. Just wait for it. Now, dispatcher friendliness means current DAT policy on dispatcher access and MC DOT requirements. We'll be talking about how 123 load board allows dispatchers to sign up, and there's a reason for that, and why dispatchers access matters to both DAT. DAT will give you the access. Just bear with me, I will show you how. And then 123 load board and dispatchers and why it's matter. Fourth comparison point is a user interface and experience. We'll be talking about how easy to use each platform, like filtering, posting, and then obviously we'll be talking about the app performance. DAT versus 123 load board means speed, layout, and navigation on the specifically desktop. Maybe we can do another video on the mobile. Both platforms have mobile app. How the learning curve and the workflow different between the two. And then last one, and this is the best part of this video, the key features to compare. We'll be comparing directories, means in-depth info, contact details, credit scores for the brokers and for the carriers, and market tools, DAT's market condition tool versus 123 load board load availability feature. And then we'll be talking about communication and alerts, how each platform basically handles the messaging and notifications, and as well as contacting with the broker. So this is the plan. What we're going to do is we'll just start with the comparison point number one, which is market they serve. And then I'll be showing the two load boards, comparing back and forth. And then we'll come back and then we'll just check mark. And then this is how we go. Now, DAT load board. This is the landing page. And again, I'll just go into straight talking about who they serve. Both 123 load board, DAT, and as well as truck stop. Let's consider them as well. They focus on primarily, there is obviously key niche market, if you will. Now, DAT focuses on van and the reefer. This, by the way, based on my experience, you may agree or disagree. DAT do have flatbed market, obviously, then box truck and sprinter van they removed and they added back in, and obviously hotshot, all that good stuff you can access. They primarily focus on van and reefer market. That's what I'm trying to say. And in 123 load board, they primarily, and again, this is what I see and this is what I experienced. I think they're leaning towards box truck, sprinter van, and hotshot market. Although they have thousands of loads when it comes to reefer market and flatbed market. But here's what's happening. I believe that when brokers have these two load boards, access to these two platforms, brokers mainly focus on DAT if they have van loads, reefer loads, and flatbed loads. But when they have box truck loads, sprinter van loads, and hotshot loads, I think they're posting on 123 load board, getting more popular among these carriers, means box truck, sprinter van, and hotshot owners. This is very important to consider when it comes to like niche market, more specifically this box truck and sprinter van owners, that if you need DAT, you won't be able to find a lot of loads on DAT. What mostly you will find is van load, drive-in loads, reefer loads, and flatbed loads, flatbed step deck. But when it comes to truck stop, I believe they lean more towards serving main customer segment, if you will, is the flatbed, heavy duty haul, all that good stuff, oversized freight, That's the truck stop. Now let's move on to the plan. And okay, we talked about the primary user. Now you know which load board you want. Now we're going to talk about what type of freight they have. Well, now when it comes to DAT, well, obviously they have a variety of freight, but when it comes to drive-in and the reefer obviously the produce, whatnot, and then the flatbed market, they focus on heavy duty haul or the machineries, if you will. Now when it comes to 1, 2, 3 load board, now, we said that they're leaning towards more niche market, which is box truck, sprinter van, and then hot shop. Let's focus on box truck and sprinter van more specifically. Why? But when it comes to box truck, you mainly focus on home goods like, furniture, sofas. When it comes to moving, relocation, office supplies, whatnot. But then sprinter van, think about, you guys haul palletized freight. So they do have these types of freight. Now, 1, 2, 3 load board, again, specifically leaning towards this niche market. DAT focuses on the general freight market. So now on the plan, what we're going to do is we talked about what type of freight, the volume. Both DAT and 1, 2, 3 load board has thousands of daily loads. But what I realized based on my experience, obviously DAT wins. Hundreds of thousands of loads per day. When it comes to 1, 2, 3 load board, they don't have that much load volume. And there's a reason why, because mainly DAT is more popular among brokers. That's why. And then obviously DAT has millions of dollars spending on, let's say, marketing, so they can attract these brokers. And obviously 1, 2, 3 load board catching up. There are thousands of brokers using 1, 2, 3 load board. So when it comes to volume, obviously DAT wins. Hundreds of thousands of loads per day. If you're really looking for into volume, you're looking for DAT. Let's check this and let's move on to the second comparison point, which is pricing and value. Both has the value to their users. Let's talk about the pricing. We'll be talking about pricing tiers for each platform. So let's start with the DAT and let's compare the price points. So this is a price point, and obviously DAT has increased the price. So DAT 1 standard was about $49 and increased by $5. Now is $54. I believe DAT 1 Pro was about around $149. Now it's $169. So increased by $20. DAT 1 Select was about $199, that means $200. Now is $200 and almost $40. So just keep that in mind. This is a DAT 1, and then we have different subscriptions. Now, standard, enhanced, pro, select, office, and they different. I use DAT 1 Select, and there's a reason, and I'll be comparing obviously to 1, 2, 3 load board, because I have about $80 per month, which is 1, 2, 3 load board, and then we'll compare those features. There's huge reason for that. If you're in dispatching, if you're a carrier, you definitely need those tools. Most popular among, let's say, dispatchers and more specifically owner-operators is 169 right now, which is DAT 1 Pro. And for the 1, 2, 3 load board, let's go to pricing, and you will see they have only 3 price tiers: standard, premium, premium plus. And by the way, when it comes to 1, 2, 3 load board, I'm really amazed how they really focus on the user experience. It's very user friendly when it comes to 1, 2, 3 load board. The color matches, I'll be showing you the load availability tool that they have. It's not confusing. It's like straightforward. 5 years, 6 years old can just log in and can search for loads, no problem. Standard, they have $39, and then premium, they have $59, and then premium plus. This is what I have. Hey, we're not going into details like showing you, hey, what you have at $39 and then compared to $79. It's very straightforward. We're not going to focus on this too much. As you can see, the more you pay, the more features unlock. And obviously, you need those tools to run your independent freight dispatching. So what I recommend is $79 per month. You have a lot of tools. And obviously, I will be showing you those features. So when it comes to DAT 1 Select, and what's the reason for DAT 1 Select? There's one feature is very important, more specifically for data-driven dispatchers, which is market conditions. If you say, I don't use market conditions, man, you're an amateur dispatcher. You're not a professional dispatcher. Professional dispatchers, more specifically data-driven dispatchers, they use market conditions day in, day out. If you're not using it, you're losing a lot of money on the table. period. When it comes to 123 load board, I recommend $79, and there's a reason why, because the search directory, as you can see, they added new tool that we'll be going over. Very important when it comes to, if you're a carrier, you definitely will be using that feature. If you're a dispatcher, this is awesome. Now, let's come back and look what we have in terms of how we go about executing on a plan. So price tiers for each platform, we talked about this. And then obviously which features are paywall versus available in the basic plans. And we gone over just basically we talked about the more you pay, the more tools available to you. So if you really want in-depth comparison, just go to 123loadboard.com and you can see price table and you can compare yourself. But as I said, I recommend $80 per month does the job. Trust me. How users justify the costs. Data power when it comes to DAT versus affordability is 123 load board. What I mean by that, if you're really into data, and that's the reason why I constantly say and teach my students as well that, hey, you have to become a data-driven dispatcher. Real dispatchers, they use data to move these carriers profitably. If you don't know your numbers, obviously you're losing. And 123 load board is the affordability. That means anyone can afford. If you're a dispatcher, you're just starting out, $80 per month is just, compared to what you get for $80 is huge, right? So, and if you're a carrier, obviously it won't hurt the budget. Now, let's move on to the dispatcher friendliness. This is where we're going a little bit into details. We'll be talking about how, as a dispatcher, you get access to DAT and get access to 123 load board. So let's start with the DAT. DAT used to be dispatcher friendly, and they stopped doing that. The reason is the fraud prevention. We're not going into details talking about that. Back in 2022, during COVID, what they did is they had 30-day free trial. A lot of affiliates, including myself, promoting DAT, and then people used in the wrong way. And because of that, you affected. And that's why they cleaned up, removed a lot of dispatchers from the system. They're still working on it. So what they want now, I had a call last week with the DAT. They are giving access to dispatchers. That means it's a good news if you're a dispatcher. And the reason why they want to do this is because now they're building a system where you will have access as a parent account, or you can think like primary account, and then carriers they will have the sub account. But it used to be the other way around. Carrier had this option adding dispatchers, meaning carrier will have the primary account and then dispatchers will have sub account, if you will. But there is a problem with that. What if I lose the carrier? Well, if they disappear, that means I lose access to load board, and I don't want that. What they're doing now is basically giving you the primary account, and then each carrier comes into your business, adding them as a sub account. If they leave, you're losing the sub account, or the DAT loses sub account because of the revenue, obviously. Let's talk about 123 load board. This tool is dispatcher friendly. That means you don't need MC, you don't need DOT. You can sign up right after this video. But hold on, watch this video, because I'll be going into details comparing. Once you finish, then you can sign up for 30-day free trial. Now, let's come back to plan and see what we're doing. Dispatcher friendliness, we talked about the current DAT policy on dispatcher access. That means currently you need DOT and MC, but they're becoming more dispatcher friendly. This is where you don't need MC nor DOT, and then you will get access. But based on what I heard from DAT, Q1, this is where you will see getting access, you as a dispatcher, and then you will have no problem accessing the DAT. Now, 123 load board, they don't have any requirements when it comes to having an MC or DOT. You'll be signing up like a carrier, but there is not required if you don't have an MC or DOT. Let's talk about the DAT and why you as a dispatcher, just let's put carriers aside and let's talk about the dispatchers. Mainly dispatchers, 90% of the time, they're doing the back end office work, if you will. They're doing the finding a load, booking a load, dispatching a load. They're doing the work when it comes to finding those loads and assigning to these carriers or drivers, if you will. Now, it's very important to get access as a dispatcher because DAT has everything. They have the data, they have the volume, as we talked about already. And because of that, you need DAT if you are a dispatcher. That's the number one thing that you need to focus. But hey, I understand if you don't have MC nor DOT, and because of that, I have this 1, 2, 3 load board. So you can start definitely with 1, 2, 3 load board. You don't need MC and DOT as we talked about. And it's very important if you are specifically focusing on niche market, meaning box shot, hot shot, sprint event. That's basically what you need. And that's why it's important to get access 1, 2, 3 load board rather than just saying, hey, I want DAT because it has a volume. Well, it has a volume and it's very different who you serve. If you serve these niche market, go ahead and use 1, 2, 3 load board. You don't need DAT. Well, when DAT becomes dispatcher friendly again, let's say next year, then you can get access and you can use both if you wanted to. That basically it when it comes to why dispatchers access matters, both these load boards. Now let's talk about the user interface and experience. This is where I will be logging into these load boards and I'll basically show you the user interface. We'll be just playing around and then we'll be talking about the fun stuff. Okay, so this is what you will see once you log in. That means you are a carrier, you as a dispatcher, you got access, you logged in. This is what you see. This is your dashboard. Very user friendly, as you can see, very straightforward. It gets complex when we go into details, but let me show you 1, 2, 3 load board. As you can see, this is very colorful and then easy to navigate. What I would say user friendly. Now let's look at the plan and see what we have so that we can execute step by step. We're doing since the beginning of this video. User interface, we'll be talking about how easy to use search filters, and we'll be talking about searching loads on each platform. Let's focus on a DAT first. Now, on the left side, you will see that you will have a dashboard. We have search load, search trucks, my loads, private network. I think I need to do a video on this one, which is very important when it comes to being a carrier and dispatcher. Let's click on the search trucks. Why am I doing this? So if you're a dispatcher, when you get access to the DAT more specifically, you'll be looking for trucks and maybe confused. Why? Well, brokers will be using this feature more specifically to look for, let's say, or searching for trucks or available trucks, let's say in Atlanta, Georgia, or Houston, Texas, whatever. But you as a dispatcher, you'll be also looking for these carriers where they're located. Yes, you will have, let's say, a carrier that you have an agreement and you'll be using a load board to search loads for them. But what if you need more customers? Let's say if you wanted to grow the customer base, you need carriers. And then obviously you will come here and then search for trucks. That means you can put the origin and destination and then their carriers right in front of you. You can contact them and say, hey, I do see that you're going from Atlanta, Georgia to Houston, Texas. I use DAT. Let me help you. So that basically the strategy. Now, let's talk about how we're going to search loads. If you're a dispatcher, maybe you're a carrier, you see something new here. What they have is you're missing a broker requirement. It means I'm a dispatcher. I'm not a carrier. I have access to DAT, no MC, no DOT. But this broker more specifically, they're looking for MC and DOT. And they see on my profile that, hey, this person doesn't have no MC, no DOT. And obviously brokers don't want to work with the dispatch. And how you go about this, solving this problem? I think DAT will solve this problem when we will be adding, let's say, carriers as our sub account. That means if I have a carrier, these brokers will be able to see that we do have a carrier that we serve. Well, that's basically a hypothesis that I have. This might change, might not, but this is what you will face when you will get access to the DAT. Now let's talk about why dispatcher A will see more loads than dispatcher B. I think everything boils down to amateur and the pro dispatcher. Pro dispatchers using filters differently, and I'll show you how. Let's say 99% of the dispatcher will come here, and then it'll be like, okay, origin is Atlanta, Georgia goes to Houston, Texas, deadhead maybe 150, maybe 250. That's what they will do. Equipment, they will pick maybe 1 or 2. And then for the load type, they will be looking for full loads. Yes, if you're a professional dispatcher, you'll be looking at like, oh man, no, don't do that. Like you need full and partial, but yes, that's what they do. We're talking about this amateur dispatchers. And then they will put, let's say it's 53. That's what I'm looking for. For the weight, they put something. I don't know, maybe they put something like 45,000. For the date, this is what amateurs do. They will come up here and it'll be like, okay, today is Monday, I'll do Tuesday, and then I'll be like, okay, Wednesday. Let's pick from, today until the Wednesday. That's what I want to see, the loads between these dates. And that's how 99% of the dispatcher will be searching loads. So if I click search, and they will have about like 50 results, and then we're looking at these loads like, okay, now what am I doing here? Like 50 loads, not enough. Let's come back and see how these pro dispatcher will be searching. Obviously, they won't be searching from Atlanta. What they wanted to do is first, they wanted to see how many loads are available. Because of that, they'll be looking into different state as well. Like they might search something like, let's say, North Carolina, and they will put comma, South Carolina. They will do Georgia. And then reason why is because, okay, my truck could be in Atlanta, Georgia right now, but what if I'm looking for what's happening in the Southeast area? What's happening in Alabama right now? Can I go Birmingham, Alabama instead of Charlotte, North Carolina? Because Birmingham loads paying more specifically for flatbed. So you got the idea. For the destination, they won't put Houston, although they're going to Houston. And again, everything boils down to, remember what we said, being a data-driven dispatcher. You want to know your numbers and obviously what you have or what's available to you, if you will. They put something like Texas, or they also might put Louisiana. Well, what if there's a load, really good load that pays from Birmingham, Alabama that goes to Louisiana, for example? Different types of equipment, they will put Conestoga, reefer, but when it comes to the load type, obviously they will put full and partial. Logically makes sense. Why would you limit yourself not looking at a partial? What if there is a partial, really good paying partial picks up, let's say in Atlanta, Georgia, that goes to Louisiana that you can pick up? You're going there, right? So along the way, you can deliver this load and you can make more money. Now, length, it's okay to put, 53. Some dispatchers, let's see, they just put empty. I don't do that. And the only thing that I do is the weight, I put 45,000. But most dispatchers, what I realized, they don't put anything on the length and they don't put anything on the weight. But when it comes to date range, this is what they're doing. So if I'm looking for, if today is Monday, they'll be like, okay, so today is Monday. I need to look into next Monday. I want to see what's happening. If I'm doing like from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but what if there is a really good load that pops up between origin and destination, let's say on Thursday? Can I wait and pick up that load, if you will? And then it'll click search, and obviously you get a lot of loads, like much more loads. But you can obviously play around by going into like doing zones, as you can see on the top left. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go type DAT zone directory, and you will have access to this PDF, which is really awesome. You can print out and then just keep it in your office. You can use it. But basically what you have is US map, and it divided into zones. That means each zone has multiple states. And it's really handy when it comes to, like, if you really wanted to search like we did, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, instead of that, you just put Z3, for example. And Z3, by the way, includes Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, and Tennessee. So you wanted to look into Southeast area, see what's happening, basically. You can definitely do that. I really want to say this, that, hey, pro dispatchers use zones, and that's how they search. Let's look into what we have when it comes to the plan that we have. We need to stick to the plan. How easy to use, search filters, search loads on each platform. Now let's go into the 123 load book and I will show it to you. Very straightforward. On the left side, you have all the tools available to you. What you can do is find loads. You can, click here, as well as at the top, see search load, and you will be brought into this page where you can search for load. Very straightforward. And again, it boils down to filter, right? Origin, destination, pickup, available capacity. That means what type of trailer you want. Is it the flatbed? Is it the lowboy? Is it the van, reefer? And you can obviously put more filters like the load size you're looking for, the length, the weight, pretty much the same thing, right? So, and then what you need to do is click search, and you just, the loads will pop up, and each load pops up, and you just go ahead and look onto these loads. This is basically a cart view, if you will. So once you click on the load, and it will give you more information about the load. And there's one feature that I really like that 123 Load Board has, but DAT doesn't. This is like dispatcher workflow, if you will. You can start here. That means you need to call this broker, and you just, you can click booked. You can, click on pick up complete and all that good stuff, all the way down to, let's say, delivered and get paid. Really awesome. And then they have a lot of tools like Trip Builder, Load Planner, awesome tools. And there's one tool that I really like is a load planner. We'll be talking about that's coming. Now, this is how you search when it comes to 123 load board. Now, let's come back to the plan and see what we did. And we looked into how to search loads on both platforms, and performance, speed, layout, and navigation. And again, both they're really good at when it comes to speed. So as soon as you clicked on a load, or as soon as you clicked on different sections, whatever, it just instantly, there's no delay. And obviously we do have live feed. As soon as broker posts a load, it's a live feed. You will see exactly when they posted. And as soon as they post, as you can see, right, it's 0 minutes. That means broker just posted. What you can do is you can call the broker and say, hey, I'm interested in this load, and you take it from there. Now, finding loads, what I realized, 123 load, but it's slower than DAT. Let's move on because we do have amazing features to discuss. Let's quickly talk about the learning curve and the workflow, more specifically for dispatchers. If we were talking about the DAT, well, obviously DAT has a little bit of a learning curve when it comes to searching by zones, using those features like more specifically DAT market conditions, because there's a lot of learning curve if you don't know how to read graphs, all that good stuff, because it's really data power when it comes to DAT, and that's the name came from, DAT power. Now they changed to DAT1, obviously. When it comes to 123 load board, there is a learning curve, but if you're using, let's say, Trip Builder or Load Planner, this is, it gets a little bit complicated. Within a week, if you use DAT and 123 load book, and you get used to it. And that's basically based on my experience. And this is, based on my teaching experience as well, that people get used to it in about a week or so. That's what it is. Let's come back to the plan. Now, the juicy part. Let's talk about the key features to compare. Now, let's go to DAT and go to tools. This is where it gets really, as I said, complicated. If you really want to become a data-driven dispatcher, if you want to become a pro at it, this is where it gets really awesome. We'll be talking about DAT directory and market conditions. Let's talk about the DAT directory but both has these options. And DAT named DAT directory, obviously, and then 123 load board has search directory. But before I go into details, like maybe you have a question. Why? What is it? Why should I care? Well, this is where you will get the partnership. That means if you're a broker, you can find carriers, you can find shippers. If you're a carrier, you can find brokers, you can find shippers. If you're a dispatcher, you can get carriers. And obviously, same thing with the 123 load board. It's a partnership opportunity if you have access to 123 load board and DAT. Now, let's start with DAT directory. If you are a dispatcher looking for carriers, now you have options: carriers, brokers, broker carrier, and shippers. If you're a carrier looking for shippers, you can definitely search for shippers. Now, if you're a dispatcher looking for a carrier, you click on carriers. What I want you to do is click on advanced, and I want you to click on authority status active. You don't need all, because some carriers go out of business, authority is not active, so DAT tracks them, and what you need to do is active authority. Second thing, search. Boom, you have all the carriers. And what's the search? 10,000 partnership opportunities, if you will. Now, let's go into the search directory, which is 123 load board. You click on a search directory. This is a little bit tricky. Why? Well, to me, it's like, doesn't make any sense, be honest with you. Why? Well, directory should be, I'm using directory to look how many carriers I have, where they located, and company name. Well, why you have these? Because of the partnership opportunity, right? How do you go about this? Well, obviously what you need to do, you just need to click on the company name. Since you don't know company name, what you can do is look for LLC. Well, I think system needs a keyword to search. And when it comes to location, you can put, let's say, I'm from Texas, put Texas, and I'm looking for, you can put multiple states if you wanted to. You just put LLC, Texas, and search and see what happens. There you go. Hundreds of carriers right in front of you. And at the same time, what you can do, and it's still thinking, as you can see, and if you let system to process, it will pull more carriers. And imagine, we just put LLC as a keyword. So what you can do, you can search LLC in Georgia, LLC in different states. And you can also do like incorporated in Georgia, in Texas, in California, and you can pull those brokers, shippers, or carriers. And again, if you're a dispatcher, you're looking for brokers and carriers. If you're a carrier, you're looking for brokers and shippers. That's how it's done, basically. Now, let's go to plan and see what we did. And that's the directory. Let's focus on, let's do this. Let's focus on communication and alerts and then come back to market condition, because this is where I wanted to focus. I love these tools, very important. And I will give you reasons why and then how I use market conditions. When it comes to communication, I want to start with 1, 2, 3 load board. Why? Well, because you can message internally and you will be messaging back and forth with the broker. What I mean by that, if you go to search loads, we search these loads, and then there's a load. Let's take this broker, and then you come back, you will see that, hey, you have the number, but at the top, as you can see, what you can do is you can call, but some brokers will allow you to chat, basically message back and forth with the broker. So if you look at the messaging, you will see that, hey, they are brokers using this feature inside the app. That means you don't need to call them. You just basically texting, and then they will be, getting back to you, whatever the information you need for the load. Very awesome feature that 1, 2, 3 load board has. Very straightforward. We're not going to go into details talking about this. But when it comes to DAT, what you need to do, you need to call the broker, mainly calling broker. Right now, we're kind of moving towards like mainly emailing back and forth with the broker. But what I realized, since most brokers have their own load boards and they're posting some of their loads onto these platforms, most brokers prefer calling and obviously emailing. Now, let's talk about the market tools. If you're really serious about dispatching, being a carrier, making money in trucking, you need to focus on these tools that I'm about to share with you. If you are a carrier, if you have dispatchers working for you, teach them how to use market condition tools. You can use just DAT, or you can have both platforms like 1, 2, 3 load board and DAT. I think DAT is the best when it comes to market condition tools. Why? Well, DAT is a data-driven company. They love data. So because of that, I think it's pretty accurate when it comes to truck stop and when it comes to 1, 2, 3 load board. And because of the volume, obviously, it really makes sense to kind of read those numbers so that we can strategically position our trucks. Very important. Let's focus on 1, 2, 3 load board. Let's go and I'll specifically give you how to use load availability. And if you click on market availability, what you're looking at is obviously US map, and then you see the states. Obviously, logically makes sense. There is a green that something is good. Yellow, that's I can go there, maybe not, but I want to know why. And then red, that means don't go there. Why is that? I think 1, 2, 3 load board deserves more credit than DAT when it comes to color coding. Why? In a minute, I will show you how DAT color coded. It's kind of confusing. It's kind of opposite when it comes to like using the colors. Means red on DAT means hot market, which is good. Blue, that means cold market, like don't go there. It's like kind of confusing and people get confused about it. I think that's one of the reasons why not many people using the market conditions. When you hover over the Texas, for example, or specific, or any states, or Georgia or Florida, you will see that there's outbound loads. That means how many loads leaving Florida, and how many loads coming into the Florida means inbound. As always, there are more inbound loads coming into Florida, that less loads going out of the Florida. And that's one of the reasons why most truckers and dispatchers call Florida as a dead zone. That's one of the reasons. Why? Well, dead zone means Florida is inbound heavy state. Remember this, very important. If you hover over Texas, same thing, is inbound heavy state, but there are a lot of loads when it comes to step deck. To me, this is the state if you're on a step deck market. That's the tip for you. Now, what you can do here, you can search for all types, meaning reefer, flatbed, van, everything, but you can also do flatbed. More specifically, you can apply And you can see Texas will always be green when it comes to a flatbed. You can search by regions. You can do all United States. You can search by load density. That means if you're just like wanted to see it as a list view, you can definitely do that. But to me, it's like I want to see the bigger picture, and this is what it is. Awesome tool. And again, here is another thing, means. I think 123 load board deserves even more credits, and here's why. Well, if you hover over, you will see there's intrastate. DAT has inbound and outbound, you will see in a minute, but then 123 load board said, hey, what about intrastate? That means how many loads I can pick up within Texas, and it delivers within Texas. That means it's not living out of the Texas and it's not coming into the Texas. That means I can pick up in Houston, Texas, and loads being delivered in Austin, Texas. That's basically it when it comes to 123 load board. Now let's talk about market conditions by DAT. Click tools, go to market conditions. And obviously there are many reasons why I love market conditions by DAT. It's an awesome tool. By the way, if you're watching right now, if you're interested in becoming a dispatcher, or you are a dispatcher, or you are a carrier, if you're not using this tool, more specifically market conditions by DAT, you're missing out. I can say this, you're losing a lot of money and you're just shooting at the dark. Basically, you're just guessing, oh, there's a load popped up in North Carolina, I want to go there. What if you go to North Carolina, but then you can sit there for 3 days? You're not using market conditions. You don't know what's happening in Charlotte, North Carolina right now. Well, there's a really good load popped up in Oklahoma for a van. I want to go there. Well, guess what? You can pick that load, go there, and you'll be sitting there for, I don't know, 2 to 3 days, and you lose a lot of money. Your carrier get frustrated and all the bad stuff, and you don't need that. And you'll use this tool so they can strategically position your trucks. Very important. The DAT gives you the bigger picture. Look at what's happening in North Carolina, market-wise. What's happening in Oklahoma? And again, market-wise. What if I'm doing van? What if I'm doing flatbed? Well, here's the thing. Before I go into details, I want to show you. You can compare these two markets. That means, can I compare if I wanted to go to Charlotte, North Carolina, but I don't want to go to Texas, but think twice, maybe going Texas is much better option than going into North Carolina. That's one way of thinking about this. Then second is you can compare inbound states to outbound states, and basically from there make your decisions. So close this and let me come back and say, okay, what if I do flatbed? And I wanted to go into, let's say Dallas, Texas. So let me make even bigger and I'll show it to you. Now, you see why it's so important. Now, at the top, you will see MCI. MCI stands for Market Condition Index. You're looking at this, you will see very tight, slightly tight, hot market. And that's one of the reasons why I said that 123 load board deserves more credit than DAT when it comes to color coding. Why? Well, because red here, it's not bad. And actually, the opposite is actually good. That means it's a hot market. Hot market means there are a lot of loads, or there are more loads than trucks. Let me give you numbers. Let's say in Dallas, Texas right now, there are 10,000 loads, but there are only 2,000 trucks. That means brokers fighting with each other because of the demand or the capacity, if you will, because we have 10,000 loads and we have only 2,000 trucks, or I don't know, 500 trucks. So now you need to position your trucks here because this is where brokers pay more money because they need the capacity. They need trucks. Let me give you another scenario. What if we do, let's say, in these blue color states, for example, right? Nebraska. So if you go to Nebraska and we pick, for example, the market and it says loose market, doesn't mean that there are no loads out there. There are some load, but it gives you the competitive advantage, if you will. That means there are a lot of trucks, but less loads. Let's compare. Now it's the opposite. That means there are 10,000 trucks out there and then only maybe 500 loads. You don't need to go there. If you go there blindly, meaning guessing, and you go there because there is a load popped up from Florida that goes to Nebraska and it pays really good, well, there's a reason why. Well, because brokers use these tools and they understand the market conditions. And if you go there, obviously now carrier sitting there for 2-3 days, he is stressed out, you stressed out, he's losing money, you're losing money. That's the end game, and you don't want that happening to you. But I think the biggest opportunity here, you wanted to know outbound. That means if you go into Texas, you really wanted to know, are there some good paying loads that are going out of Texas? Very important to keep your trucks running. And you can obviously compare inbound to outbound. You can do reefer, you can do flatbed, you can do van. That basically completes the plan, and that's what we did today. We gone over and compared the markets, price points, dispatcher friendliness, if you will, user interface, key features, all that good stuff. But hey, I'm not done yet. Remember I said that there is an awesome tool for independent freight dispatching agencies. I really want to talk about independent freight dispatchers just a couple of seconds, very important. I want to show you the tool that is missing. When DAT will start giving access to dispatchers again, they'll obviously will be developing some systems or workflow, if you will. They really want to know if you really are into dispatching. That means if you are an independent freight dispatcher, are you running a dispatching agency, or just a one-man show playing around, you don't have LLC, nothing like that. And obviously they don't want that. But if you're really serious about running your independent freight dispatching agency, the missing aspect here is the TMS, more specifically for dispatchers. And there is a tool more specifically for independent freight dispatchers. So what is it? This is where you log in as an independent freight dispatcher. Let's say you have 10 dispatchers, and let's say you have 20 carriers, and each carrier has, 5, 6, 7, whatever the number of trucks. And each carrier has drivers, and you want to see the average rate per mile, average cost per mile, per carrier, per truck. There are a lot of numbers go into running independent freight dispatching agency. And I've been teaching this since 2014, becoming an independent freight dispatcher. But most importantly, data-driven dispatcher. You need data to see what's happening with your business. That means you have basically a company snapshot, total revenue, net profit, and the profit margins. You will see the active loads available, outstanding invoice, all that good stuff. So I think the best option here is you need to kind of project management tool, if you will, right? Or the CRM. It's all, tied into this. You also need to move loads as they become available, from available to covered or booked, from booked to in transit. That means how many loads available right now, and people using spreadsheets, different types of tools out there. You really wanted to see how many loads available right now, so that can, able to assign these loads to a dispatcher, obviously. And then check-ins, very important, means you will be informing your broker. So it's on schedule, running late, delayed, driver called, at the shipper, at the receiver, delivered. That means once you click, broker will receive a notification, meaning email, saying, hey, load was delivered. We are moving. We're at the receiver. We're at the shipper, all that good stuff. So you'll be able to, or your dispatch will be able to do that. So you can also see that rate confirmation is missing, or BOL, or proof of delivery, or POD, whatnot. But best part is you can also just drag and drop. That means you can move to cover, to deliver, to invoice, and whatever you do, system will basically track, and there's a logic behind. Let's say if I put this load into, let's say, delivered, then I will receive a notification saying that, hey, there is a load is available for invoicing, that I'll go there and then invoice that load. At the same time, I'll be able to see all the loads that are available. The loads, you will be see total loads, active loads, total revenue, average revenue. You will also see rate per mile, and everything in between. You can also, if you are a CEO of the company, that means if you're owner of the company, you can get access to the reports. But if you switch between manager and dispatcher, they will lose access to financial reports. Now, as a CEO, you will have access basically 100%. Now, operation aspect, you will have carriers. You will see how many carriers you have. Total, carriers 10 here. Active carriers. The total trucks we have, average rate per mile, average cost per mile we have, $1.76. Very important. If carriers' cost per mile increases, we'll let them know that, hey, your cost per mile is increased. Be careful, because now you're losing money. Then if we go into customers, this is where your brokers will live. That means you will see, you can search, types of loads, a broker or shipper load. You can search for status. Is it active? or inactive. You can also search by, hey, are these brokers paying fast? Less than 30 days, more than 30 days, greater than 40 days, all that good stuff. You can also search for your customer. So if I'm looking for JB Hunt, I can definitely do that. And then if I'm looking for a Landstar or whatever, it will just pull those brokers for me. Why is so important to have this? Brokers' email list is very important. Imagine if you don't have access to load board. Load board is down or you lose access to load board. What you can do here is just one click of a button, send current availability, like how many trucks you have, where they are. And then obviously these brokers will be emailing back to you with whatever the loads they might have. So that basically the operation aspect. And when it comes to team, this is very important. You can look how many dispatchers you have, to their email address, their phone number, their role, their status, when they joined. You can, modify it. You can do a lot of, cool stuff with this. And you can also look for the workflow, what they have, how many loads they did. You can assign saying, hey, per day, you can do only 10 loads or 7 loads or 70 loads, whatever. It's basically you decide, right? And then you will have the metrics or the KPI, if you will, and then you decide from there. Now, financial aspect, this is where it comes to invoicing. Outstanding invoices, paid this month, overdue payments, average days to pay, expected this week, invoice aging, due soon, overdue, critical, you need to pay attention, and everything will be here. And you can create invoice, no problem, by doing this. And let me show you the coolest part here is the performance. You really need to focus on the performance of your dispatchers. You need to reward them. Hey, are they doing good? Is there any percentage increase? What their average rate per mile or the revenue they did? And you can give them basically ranks like, hey, first place, second place, third place, and you can reward them. It's kind of positive reinforcement to your dispatcher so they can make more money. Now, and you can toggle these like last 7 days, 30 days, last quarter. So this is a performance and report. And here you as a CEO of the company have access to monthly revenue. You can generate quarterly performance, carrier comparison. That means how many carriers you have and which carrier does the best. So let's say Prime Logistics is the #1 carrier that brings more money. And then you can take a look and see like, why is that? Why this company makes more money? What happened? What dispatcher was assigned? Or how many dispatcher booked loads for this carrier? What's the cost per mile for this carrier? You can see here. And then alerts, obviously here you will receive alerts, meaning one of your carrier's driver license is expiring, system will notify. If your carrier's insurance is about to expire, it will notify you. So if you are an independent freight dispatcher and you're running independent freight dispatching agency, this tool is a game changer. If you are just dispatching 1 or 2 trucks, you're not running agency. You really need tools to advance. And because of that, not many people get above, let's say, serving 2-3 carriers and they can't scale their business up to, let's say, 50 or 100 trucks. The reason why is because they don't have tools. They'll be like, how am I adding these dispatcher? Like, how am I monitoring their performance or whatnot? And it gets complicated. And because of that, they confined with 2-3 carriers and they make money that way. But if you have tools like this, sky's the limit. Maybe you're thinking like, how can I get access to this? This tool will be available to my students first. Obviously, they will be the beta testers first. Hey, if you want to be part of the beta testers, there will be a link below and you can check it out. And you let me know what you think about this video, comment, ask me any questions you might have, and we'll take it from there. Thank you.